Guys of a Certain Age is brought to you by no one. Absolutely no one. Except these dudes walking down memory lane. Now let's head to the studio to see what they misremember next.
Hello and welcome to the podcast that even a Luddite can love. I'm Jay Reed here in a studio with Art Shirley. So Luddites, what is a Luddite? Have you ever, I bet you know in general what it is.
Yes.
So what would you describe a Luddite as?
Someone who refuses to embrace technology. Someone that kind of stays with old ways and avoids whatever the new technology is.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. And I was looking at the history of it, and apparently it started like in the early 1800s when a guy named Ned Ludd, sounds like a leader, but there was mechanized looms coming into being in England at the time. And so one
looms, L-O-O-M,
like a tapestry or for cloth. And it does say he was maybe a mythical figure, but anyway, apparently they got upset that these mechanized looms were coming in. We're going to take jobs away from the people who make cloth and smash the machine. So so a Luddite is not necessarily someone who smashes machines, but who definitely resist. And I would say we'll talk about this more later, but wanted to kind of introduce that. But what about Geeks of the Week? What you got?
I don't have one.
You don't have one? Let me go ahead.
So I was going to be looking for one, and you were going to go ahead and do your first.
I missed that cue. So I'm going to bring an update on popcorn buckets because we've talked about that before. And I happened to run across one the other day, and I wanted to see, well, what's new in the popcorn bucket world? So I went to AMC and Cinemark. Those seem to be some of the two big ones where you can actually order them. Of course, in our quaint little village here, we don't have a theater that has fancy popcorn buckets, so we have to just eat out of the paper bucket. But Cinemark, I'm going to tell you, they have a couple from Super Mario Galaxy movie. One's called Luma. It's got a light. It's like a big star with a face. I'm not that familiar with Mario, so you may already know what that is.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not familiar with Mario either.
It looks like a big star, and there's a little flap out the back that opens up, but it has an LED light or something, so it'll light up at night. It's not just a popcorn bucket. There's a couple from Project Hail Mary. There's a helmet, which looks pretty cool. The coolest one actually says sold out. It's the Project Hail Mary Rocky Habitat. So it's kind of like a clear orb thing. I haven't seen the movie yet, but then it's got a Rocky figure with it. So when you're not eating popcorn out of it, you can put Rocky inside it in his habitat, and it looks cool. So that one's $32.95 if you could have got it. The helmet is $38.95 coming soon. They have several on sale. One was a Fantastic Four. It's just a bucket, but it's got Mr. Fantastic with his kind of arm wrapped all the way around it. There's a Smurfs barrel. There's a Wicked for Good. It's just basically like a Emerald City with a bucket behind it. It was $65, now on sale for $49. So that's the kind of thing. And some of the old ones that we talked about before, like the Captain America Brave New World, there's a Red Hulk popcorn bucket that's on sale. The one that had the Captain America shield popcorn bucket drink combo is still around. So that is the Cinemark. But AMC, it was a little bit different. I was a little bit disappointed with AMC because most of theirs are just buckets.
Yeah.
It's a Project Hail Mary, but it's just a bucket.
Yeah.
Hoppers, it's got a frog on the side. I don't know much about that movie. Lord of the Rings 25th anniversary tin. It's got some it's like a big map with some magnets.
Yes.
Which is a little cooler, but there's a Spinal Tap, and it's got like the dials on the top to go to 11.
That's great, yeah.
This one's a little creepy. The Megan 2.0.
I saw that when you flashed the other ones over.
Well,
we're looking at the
so she's got a face that comes off, and I didn't see that movie. It's really creepy.
Yeah. I don't think a lot of people saw Megan 2.0.
I didn't see either one of them.
I haven't seen either one of them.
There is a Karate Kid. It's like looks like a chop with the like a piece of wood over the bricks. And then there's several. There's Wonder Woman, Superman, Batman, several others that they're just like tins. They look like a popcorn.
But those are the Batman was the original Batman issue with Robin on the front.
Yeah, it looks like a comic, and then you get a lanyard with a little card, and it's supposed to be an ID thing. The Fantastic Four Galactus bucket is still available for $80 if you have that kind of money for popcorn. But anyway, if it must be a bigger deal than I realized that they're still going with this. I thought it might be a kind of a flash in the pan, but not.
Apparently not.
So anyway, if you
got a flash in the pan anyway, was that right?
Okay, I was trying to come up with something for that. Yeah, didn't quite get there.
We saw Project Hail Mary in theaters, in our local theater here on Saturday, and really enjoyed it. Really, really liked it a lot. I had read the book years ago when it came out, and it was really good. Really enjoyed it. I've seen, this could be a geek. I'll do multiples.
Okay.
But I saw that they are planning to do a sequel to it, which I'm not sure if I'm happy about that. Andy Weir, the guy that wrote the book and also wrote The Martian and Artemis, said he is up for doing a sequel to the thing, so he's going to do that.
Is there a second?
Not a second book, so I don't know if he's going to write a book and then they're going to make a movie from it, or if he's just going to do a sequel to the movie. But to me, the ending of the book is such that you really don't need that. So I'm kind of disappointed they're doing that. The other thing, too, that I was going to mention is news came out this week. My original geek was going to be Firefly, which y'all talked about already last week. So other news, as that's coming back, Star Trek Academy is being canceled after its second season. The second season has not come out yet, but apparently it has been shot, and they are canceling that at this point. Strange New Worlds, everything for that has been shot, and I think it's going to run 2 more seasons, maybe 1 more season. But it will have ultimately a 4-season run, I believe is what that's going to be. Maybe 5 seasons. I think it's got a 5th truncated, shorter season. This is going to be more focused. That may be the season that's coming up. So
that was sort of as planned.
As planned. That's as planned, right. And then everybody has speculated, although there are no real concrete plans for this, a Star Trek,
spoken like a true Southern.
Yeah, Star Trek.
Trekkie.
Year 1 that will take the Kirk from Strange New Worlds, Spock from Strange New Worlds, and some of the other kids. Well, they've got Scotty, they've got Uhura, they need to add Sulu. They may have, they've got I don't know if they'll have a McCoy on there right away, but anyway, there are afraid plans for that is going. This all has to do with the merger that's coming up with Warner Brothers and Paramount. So they're not sure what's going to happen with those. So we'll see what's happening with that. Also, this is kind of an obituary, but just from January. I thought it just recently happened. I've only recently seen news about it. But Ted Nichols, who was a composer and best known for work with Hanna-Barbera products, he did music for Scooby-Doo, Space Ghost, Birdman and the Galaxy Trio, and Josie and the Pussycats. And also said I think he wrote the theme for Flintstones is one thing that I saw in another article. And they also linked him to Johnny Quest. So he passed away back in January, but that music certainly lives on in my memory. And of course, I'll probably be watching some of those episodes here in the not too distant future.
Yeah, and another obit from this week was, probably say it wrong, but Valerie Perrin.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, Valerie Perrin, who played Miss Tessmacher in Superman.
Chris Reeves.
In the '78 Superman, she was Miss Tessmacher, and and she was also in Slaughterhouse-Five, a movie based on the Kurt Vonnegut novel. So more science fiction there. But yeah, that was sad. She had. They said she was the last cast member, but you still have the guy that played Jimmy Olsen, and you've got Jeff East, who played the young Clark Kent, that are still alive. But so many of those people have passed away from that movie. It's kind of hard to believe.
Yeah, I didn't recognize the name, but when I see the picture,
she did a lot of other things too. And she had been, understand she had been in really poor health for a long time. So sorry to see her go, but I certainly appreciate her work. I may have to watch Superman 78 again sometime soon. I haven't seen that in a while.
Yeah, and you mentioned as far as future of trailer kind of things, I did see the trailer for the Harry Potter TV.
Oh, you did? Okay, I need to find that.
Came out this week, and it looks interesting. Some of the Harry Potter character looks very, very similar, but enough different that you know it's not the same kid, but obviously. But we'll see.
We'll see is exactly where I am. I saw a post that had side-by-side comparisons of the movie cast versus this newer series cast that they've got, and they do look, they certainly look the part or whatever. But you feel like, to me anyway, we've kind of seen these kids grow up on the screen. We have very much of a connection to those people being those characters, to the point where a lot of them haven't been able to find out the right, unfortunately. But yeah, so this guy, we'll see. And what's that? Do you remember what that's airing on?
Oh, it's on HBO Max.
HBO Max.
Or whatever it is.
Whatever it will be at that point. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's right. Okay, good deal.
So yeah, so that's I think we'll watch it. But if they try to do just all the same stuff with different kids, it won't work. It'll right. They have to expand it.
It has to be something new. Then with the series, they should, probably take advantage of things that they had to leave out of the books.
Absolutely. Yeah. All right. Well, after the break, we'll come back and talk about smoke signals and other ways to communicate. So we're back, and today we're going to talk about things that, how you and Art, a lot of times when I'm absent from the studio, y'all will cover.
Art and I will?
Huh?
Art and I will do that?
Did I say that?
Yes, so how you and Art will do that? Yeah.
I do the same thing at home. I call, my brother and my son often get interchanged.
I've actually at one point called the boys by the dog's name when he had a dog.
I've done that too. Yeah, my Jacob and Blaze was around. So anyway, you and Robbie will often.
He's not here today, by the way.
He was not here. Yeah. We'll talk about things that are high tech and stuff that I'm not really aware of. And so I thought, well,
I'll call you a Luddite.
I am not a Luddite. No. I think I'm at the stage. I was thinking about this where I'm not ashamed to call my kids to help me set something up on my phone or whatever, but I'm also helping my folks, sometimes set things up, or my wife. So it just depends. I'm kind of in that middle stage. There's definitely aspects of my Mac and my phone that I wish I had better knowledge of and could use better. I'm certainly not throwing it out, but also I'm an avid user of analog tools. And that's kind of thought it'd be fun to talk about some of our analog tools today and how we use them. It's interesting. A few years ago, my son Jacob and I were talking about. He was really into the whole productivity genre and using his calendar for everything, and his Google Calendar or whatever. And so I kind of asked him to provide me with some resources. For Christmas this year, send me some books, stuff. And so one of the things that he sent me was a book called The Bullet Journal. And the Bullet Journal is basically an analog handwritten journal that you keep, and it gives you some tools to use to how to make a to-do list and how to look to the future and have calendars. And but basically my bullet journal is kind of where everything goes. Okay. That's my planner, and I've got it with me here. It's this particular one. I know I'm not gonna say the name right. It's a German manufacturer, Leuchtturm. Kind of read it on the back. It's Leuchtturm, I think. Okay.
You've got it as close as I can see it. Yeah.
But it's a very similar journal tool, like a Moleskine. So if you've seen Moleskines around, and I usually buy Moleskine all the time. This one is just the bullet journal people have their own setup here, and it's got a lot of things already into the design of the book. But I use that for my reminders, my daily stuff. Still use my phone a lot for I've got alarms to go off all day long. I drive my technicians at work crazy. Yeah. Because there's alarms going off all day, because I will not remember certain things if I don't have that alarm. But the bullet journal is really my go-to.
Okay.
And so I've got several like that. I don't know, do you have a planner? What do you?
What I do, the main thing I use, I still like physical calendars. It'd be their wall calendars. We'll write events and stuff on wall calendars, usually for the home. And my mom, we've got a calendar that we keep stuff up on. I'll always have a calendar hanging in my office. But I've got a book, it's not necessarily a planner, although I did used to use, physical planners a lot. But I've got a calendar book, and that's what I will write if somebody's going to be out of the office, or if I've got meetings, I'll put all that stuff down. Now I will transfer them to digital calendar at some point. So, for one thing, so people in the office can see my calendar and see what's going on.
Right.
But typically what I'll do is I'll write it all down in that physical calendar first. I like doing that. I also still like to take handwritten notes on legal pads or in binders or whatever if I'm in a meeting. I know I've seen a lot of people that use iPad, and I'm a huge iPad proponent, but just the idea of, and I've read now as I get closer to the age where this is going to matter, that writing things down is a good way to kind of keep your mind active and not only stave off any of the dementia kind of things that might come in. It does keep your brain a little more active. The physical act of writing things down as opposed to typing them up for some reason. There's some kind of connection there in the brain.
I've read something on the internet,
So it's got to, okay, good.
Yeah.
So it's got to be true, right?
Yeah, I've heard that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I like, I did that exact same thing this week. I had my bullet journal and I went through, because, for me, this more than anybody else around, because my schedule is so limited as to what days I can do stuff like this. Mm-hmm. And so when I go to the doctor and they say, oh, okay, well, let's make an appointment 6 months in advance.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I have to look and see, well, is that a Thursday or a Friday?
Right. I have to figure out one of the two, and then you figure out
which week it is. And
it changes on you, so you may not know.
Right. So I've got to, so I put it, I went through the whole year, put all that down on my physical calendar. And then I went into my phone, because I'm going to have my phone. But I like what you said about the handwritten notes, because I'm the same way. If I go to a meeting or a pharmacy meeting or whatever, I'm going to have a legal pad or something. Right. I think I can take notes on a Mac, but I'm not carrying my laptop around most time. And we have an iPad at home, but it's as old as they get. Yeah. And it pretty much plays music. I don't carry it around. I probably should, but if I had a keyboard and a little screen, then I could do it. But trying to take notes about
handwritten notes with certain apps, that sometimes we'll convert that into my, I can't read my own writing, which is a problem, but it will not convert my writing into, text like it will do, for these other people's notes. But I think again, I'm also one that says, don't be so consumed with taking notes that you're not listening.
Right.
But I do think you're a little bit more engaged when you're taking notes. You tend to kind of write things in not a true shorthand for me, but something that at least is kind of my own shorthand, so I can go back and figure out what. Now, I'll if I need to, I'll go back and type those up, usually for an email that I'm going to be sending out to let people know what's going on. But the initial thing is always handwritten.
I think it depends on the speaker. Sometimes if you get busy taking notes, and sometimes I feel like I'm missing something. Yeah, taking notes, and other times I'm like, this is all.
And I know a lot of people record conversations. Usually ask permission if you do that, and we'll come back and transcribe the notes, and that's a great way to get all the information. But to me, if I'm actively listening and taking notes, again, kind of highlight notes, not every word kind of notes, I tend to retain what was said better than if I'm just, if I'm recording and thinking, oh, this will be on there, because I usually never go back and listen to it or even read the transcription.
Well, I've done that too. And I've kind of do both. If I'm interviewing somebody for an article, then I'll take some notes, but I'll also record it.
But also in that case, a lot of times their quotes are so important to an article, and that's that you want to make sure you've got those. And the people that I talk about that do that are kind of writing the same kind of thing. They need something where they get the quote right. That's very important. What I'm talking about is mainly getting something where somebody's explaining a process to me, and I need to know how to do it afterwards.
Yeah. Yeah, that's. I guess I need somebody to explain. That's why I'm a half Luddite, I guess. I need somebody to record how to do things.
What are some other things you use?
Well,
what about
the thing
maps?
About maps, I used to love map, and I still do. When I look back I'm looking just a few years back. It seems like a few years ago. I think it was pre-COVID, but we were in North Carolina, and I have some family from actually my grandmother's side, which is Mississippi side, but we were in North Carolina near my in-laws, and they, I knew that some family from my grandmother's side had originated there.
Yeah.
So I knew one place to go. Mm-hmm. I didn't have a GPS. I mean, riding around the mountains, I had a map, and I drove around all day with a map and found my way.
Yeah.
I would do that even with a city map when I moved to a new city. I loved it.
I think everybody should know how to use a map. You should have, this is, dad advice for you here, but You should have if you're just driving around in some states, have some state maps in your car in case you get into a spot where you do not have service, and that's getting
we don't
far
think about
between.
that.
Yeah. But the other thing too about a map is, as much as I love, using Google Maps or Apple Maps on my phone, and I was an early adopter of, GPS navigation devices for my car. I just love those things. I think they're great. I love to have them. Becky doesn't understand. Well, you know where you're going. I like to have them constantly displaying, so I know how much time I have.
Right.
Can I beat the time? But the thing about a map is you get to see the overview of the whole thing, because they're going to suggest a route for you that they figure is either the fastest or the least traffic, whatever filters or parameters you put in there. But sometimes you need to look at the whole thing and say, what if we went here? And you may see something like, well, look, if we went here, if we went 20 minutes out of our way, we'd see this, or we could go by here. And you don't see that a lot, if you're just planning, if you're using a map to get you from one point to the other. So I think it's important to do that. And like I said, also in case of emergency, just so you have another way to find out. Of course, the problem with a paper map is that it doesn't update for traffic.
No,
there's no ways for a paper map.
Yeah, but then what I encourage my family to do, and I try to do this when I can, is if I'm not going, there's certain places we go where you just know the way, and put it on for the time, and you put it on for the traffic, but you know the way. But if you get sidetracked, if GPS takes you, around
somebody's driveway
down. My daughter called me one time in Montgomery, Alabama. She was coming home and said, the GPS took me to a fence. I'm facing a fence right now. And I said, I think you're at the military base. You need to turn around. You can't go through there. So I really like to kind of get a broad overview, even if it's the map on the GPS, to see, okay, are they taking me around the world just to put me back on the interstate 2 exits later?
Yes. Right. That's happened to me before too. And I don't know what the setting is that makes it.
Even when there's no traffic.
There's no traffic. There's nothing. There's not a wreck or construction on the highway. And so you'll go, and sometimes you'll go 5-10 miles out of the way and then come back and be where you would have been 2 miles if you just.
Exactly.
So it's like, okay. So again, and sometimes, you go, all right, I know this is not right. So you'll stick to it. And, but yeah, so that's.
Or Melissa will be driving, I'll wake up and we're on a dirt road in the country, and I'm like, where?
And I say, kind of tied into that, another thing I like is an actual compass. And more so and I don't do this as much as I did, but when boys were in scouts and we were camping a lot, I always wanted to have an actual compass. Just so that, because the phone sometimes, again, would lose sound on them. They're better now, but at the time, especially, and you have to calibrate this, and you can calibrate, so you can't get calibration. Okay, so an actual compass is probably not going to fail you, so that's a good thing. And we're both wearing Apple Watches.
Yep.
And I love mine. I haven't gone back to a regular watch in a long time, but I did used to like watches a whole lot when, a lot of people don't wear them anymore, but I still want a regular watch. Especially, again, if there's a situation where I'm not going to be able to charge this one. I don't just not wear a watch or just let the Apple Watch die. I want to I just like to look down and see the time.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I do definitely do that. I'm like you. I haven't gone back to it, but I have a couple.
Yes.
I have a nice one that I got, as my wedding gift from Melissa, and I have another one that I sort of hand-me-down from Jacob. That's a good thing. What about, we've talked a little bit about this in other contexts, but Kindle or paper book?
Okay, so I'm currently reading Roland Mann's book on my Kindle. Shout out to Roland. Hope we have
my paperback copy came in the mail yesterday.
The Interns. Have you started it yet?
No, it just came yesterday.
I can't wait for us to talk about it. It's when I first read it. What is he doing? What's he going to do here? And you'll see why once you read it. I'm not going to spoil anything, but I cannot wait to talk to him about it. Looking forward to that, and I'm enjoying it so far. But I do prefer a Kindle for reading in bed because I don't have to, it's easier to hold, you don't have to flip pages or whatever. But I also still very much like having a physical book. And some books I will have, and I just want to have the physical copy of it. I love the smell of the book, I love all that. But I find that I don't really read physical books as much, especially in bed. Now, I'm retiring. My last day at work is tomorrow as we record this. So one of the things I want to do, several things kind of tie into what we've talked about, but kind of setting up a time to read and try not to watch as much TV or movies as I do.
Right.
Finding a place to sit and read as opposed to trying to
Have a reading.
Yeah, reading corner. Actually, that's what I've got. And
I bought a $5 lamp at an estate sale last week. Put out on my porch so that I could sit there and read.
so yeah, I think getting connected back with that will be good. Do that. And go ahead with what you said. The Kindle and book was another one you were going to mention, or what?
Yeah, and I was
And I'll do audiobooks a lot now too. And we've talked about audiobooks and I will say, if it's something that I really want to be engaged in, I will make sure I'm reading it.
Yeah.
Because with an audiobook, if I'm in bed, I'll fall asleep in the middle of it, and I come in,
if I'm driving, my mind will go.
You'll start to go. You think about where you got to turn and all that, and sometimes just if I'm sitting there listening and maybe doing something else, I'll find that my mind has drifted off, and I don't know what's happening.
Or if I'm really into it, I've actually missed my own street a few times.
Now that's happened too. I've had that happen too. But I do like that experience. But I think that there's a lot of me that still likes a physical book.
Yeah, I definitely do that. So if you're reading a physical book and it's like if it's nonfiction, say it's something that not self-help is way too general, but something like that.
Yeah.
If you want to take a note on that, or if you want to remember, do you mark up your book?
Yeah.
How do you?
I very rarely take notes in books. I know you do.
Yeah.
I just don't.
I use tabs now.
Okay, that's a good idea. So
I've got these tabs that basically they're the kind of thing that you would use to mark a document. Please sign here or whatever.
Okay.
They don't say that, but they're a little bit transparent. They're just sticky on one end, and so instead of underlining something, I'll just put a tab right there on the line that I want to remember, and I may or may not go back.
Yeah, and the thing is, I should. I mean, I've done it in Bible studies or whatever. I think that's a great way to go back, and then in later years you see why did I mark this passage? Because, and it's something I probably need to start to do. I've thought about doing. As a project, coming up is doing book covers for books that I like. And I don't want to just copy whatever the author has put on the book cover. I want to find a scene of my own. So I would probably mark that and say this would make a good book cover illustration. But I want to be able to read and see what the description is, so I get it accurate to the book. And that's primarily fiction kind of stuff. But I know that. I remember a person who was, a parent of friends of ours growing up, and he would write on an index card or a couple of index cards a summary of the book and what he liked about the book and major points, and then put that in there so he could go back in. Because I think I read that. I've actually started books before that I go, I've read this already. Yeah, so.
And I just finished, I'm almost finished with Cal Newport's book, So Good They Can't Ignore You. And he was talking about how he summarized different papers he was studying and put the key points in. I think that's good.
That's good. But I do think that keeps you more engaged in it. Now, I will say on the Kindle, I've used the note feature.
Okay. You haven't got that deep into it. But
you go and you select it and do something and call it out. And so, that's something I do. But again, I don't go back to those very much. I don't pick up Kindle books to reread,
right?
Like I do sometimes with physical books for some reason.
Yeah, but I think my son, he's doing speaking and doing Bible studies and stuff for the kids in his church, and so he'll use those kind of tools, and he's got it tied into another app where he can go in and pull quotes or whatever, and it's all kind of linked together. I'm not that techie.
Yeah.
So, and one thing I talked about the bullet journal, but I use a ton of different kinds of journals. Like I've got here in the studio, I've got a field notes. I don't know if you've used field notes before.
Yeah.
It's just a little kind of quarter-page notebook, but they come out, you can subscribe, and they come with these great covers and things and stuff. So I've got like the one I got in my hand, I keep up with what I watch. So when we do our year-end episode, I'll remember what I actually watched, TV, movies, concerts, that kind of stuff, then keep it just to remember. When we went on our Gaither cruise, I had one that I use whenever I want to get an autograph.
Right.
I'll take one if I'm doing a food tour of some kind, because they fit in your back pocket.
Yeah.
Or I got a little gents bag, it fits in there perfectly. I've got one, I don't do this all the time, but I've got like a grateful journal. Grateful for on there. And I've got this one, I keep one at work where it's got like different passwords and stuff for work related things that I need right there, or maybe this is how you fix this problem on the computer, and I'll take a few notes, and hopefully I can read it later. Lots of that kind of stuff.
You mentioned passwords. We've got like a password, one of those password apps that keeps all your passwords, and basically you remember one password and it opens them all. So we've got that. But the thing I find I use more often than not is a book that Becky got that's, alphabet, has alphabet tabs on it. And you write down what's your password, what it's for, and your username and password in the book.
Right.
And it's to me, of course, it's safer for one thing because it's not going to be hacked and stolen.
Right.
But of course, it can be picked up and stolen. But one of the things I do is kind of try to write the password or username in code so that they don't necessarily have exactly
the whole
what it
thing.
is. Yeah. So, it's very helpful. And, the key is to make sure once you enter a password, I may type it into a note, while I'm doing it, so copy and paste it in there. So I've got it, but then I'm going to handwrite it in so that I can find it and know it. Now I have to put sometimes this is a 0, not an O, but,
I have the same thing. Of course, mine is like this field notes is maybe 3 times the size of my password notebook.
Oh, really? Okay.
It's very small and it's cram packed, and I need to start over.
The one I've got is a little bit. It's like a moleskin, kind of a medium-sized moleskin.
Yeah, this one is a moleskin, but it's like, I don't know. It's
okay.
2 inch by 3 or something. It's tiny. But what about pens when you're journaling?
Now, see, I don't journal, but pens for me is no, but that's not true. There are certain pens I like to have. When I'm writing something. One of my favorites has always been a flare pen, a black flare pen. They've changed the nib of it over the years, but it still works pretty well.
Like the felt tip flare.
A felt tip flare pen, yeah. I love it.
I think that comes from your artistry.
It does. My dad always loved them too, but he liked them, and he always had very precise handwriting and very precise pens that he used for that. But for me, a pen a lot of time or a brush, is what kind of will inform what I draw. And that's another analog thing that I'm hoping to do more of. It's always better if I'm drawing on paper. And again, the pens I will use, sometimes they're a very fine ballpoint pen, sometimes they're a fountain pen. I've got some brush pens that have ink charged in their brush and that, get the brush stroke. I have, like I said, the felt tip pens or various sizes of Sharpie markers or whatever. It just kind of depends, but it always, there's a tactile feeling that is missing. And as much as I love to draw on the iPad and draw on the iPad a lot, it's just too slippery. It don't have the control. And so if I'm doing it a lot, I'll develop control on it. But if it's something I haven't done, I drew something yesterday and I was like, man, I'm so out of practice on this because I just don't do it anymore. And so one thing I'm hoping to do again in retirement is set up my art table and have pad and pens there to be able to draw. And I've got moleskins and stuff. I've still got the Batman thing which you gave me a couple of years ago now. But I have physical sketchbooks of different sizes, so I can have one handy and near. I've been doing that on the iPad, and that works pretty well. But I want to get back to drawing things. There's a couple of reasons. One thing, drawing and committing a drawing in pen and ink kind of forces you to make decisions and live with those decisions. Whereas an iPad, you could do it and change it over and over and over again until you feel like you get it right. So it's a really good training ground for it. But what about pens that you like for journaling?
I have 2 that I generally use, and I've got one with me. I got the Pilot G2, and I use the 0.7 or the 0.7, however that.
Is that a micro or is that a mid? Okay, I guess that. Yeah, okay.
I don't know.
Do you like the finer point? Or
I like the finer point,
yeah,
not super fine, but like Melissa likes the thicker points.
Yeah.
We like the same pens, but she likes the thicker
We've got
point.
those here at the office, and some are thick and some are fine, and I much prefer the fine one.
Yeah, I guess this would be considered fine. There is one I think that's a little bit more.
Yeah, I've got the micro ones I really like too. And again,
there's situations that I would, but
mine is more for drawing. I mean, writing, it's a little too fine. The one that you've got right now, it's a sweet spot for me.
Yeah,
and also I like the ink flow. There's a whole thing to that, and it's all very much a personal preference, I believe.
Yeah,
sometimes the ink will flow too fast for some people. I kind of like a a pretty good ink flow as opposed to having to really bear it.
Without it getting messy.
Yes, right. Yeah, that's the thing. You can get something that smears real bad.
And that a lot of that lies with the paper and all too.
Yeah, and again, depending on what paper surface I'm drawing on, will also kind of I'll use a different pen or brush for that.
Yeah, and I go between this one. If I'm going, this is a click pen, so I can it's safer in my pocket. So if I'm going out and need a pen, that's the pen I'm carrying with me. But at home, I've been using the Sharpie felt tip pen.
Yeah, see, that's very much like a flare pen to me, with a little bit more of
just a finer. A little bit. It's hard enough without it doesn't feel like a Sharpie.
Yeah, right.
But it has a top, and so that's just harder to maneuver. I realize they were talking about seconds, but it's harder to manage. I don't want the tops tend to get lost and I'm messed up. So I'll use those at home, quite a bit. But if I'm going out, the G2s, and the G2s, what I like too is like this one I got in my hand now. I've had the case of it for years. And I decided the other day, Melissa was ordering some pens. So I want to get some. I got a refill. It's a navy blue ink. So I just got some, and I used to get them at the, it was the
Chalet?
No, I got them in Oxford. I first found them in Oxford at one of the Ole Miss bookstores. It was one of the ones off campus.
Okay.
They had the navy blue, and so I got it then and have loved it ever since. So I bought some refills for this, and I've got like a brown leatherette journal that I've had for years and years, and it's like a standard journal when I'm feeling my feels and I want to write. I use that, and I have consistently been able to use a brown ink G2 pen in that. So I keep a brown ink pen around for that. I keep the blue one just for whatever. There was a period where, like my gratefulness journal, I've used all green ink.
Okay.
It is just, and I've got another, like a health journal. I'm using purple in it now, and just not for any particular reason, but I do kind of match the ink color to the journal at some, times. I'm not too dead set on it.
Yeah.
I need to write something down. I don't have it, but I think even with the, I had a blue journal for a while. I used the blue pen, or tried to. So anyway, that's just a fun thing. That's not required,
and weight and balance of the pen, all that thing plays into it. Now, again, I've had a couple of expensive pens over my life and like them, but more often than not, I'm always going to go back to something that you can, pick up at Walmart in a pack of 5.
Exactly. And
I like it as well. And I like them every bit as well.
Yeah. Well, Jacob gave me one. It was aluminum, and it was supposed to, last forever, and it used the same ink cartridges that these do. And I loved it and lost it.
Yeah.
I don't lose these.
Yeah, I know.
It's like sunglasses.
As if you do, you don't even notice them because you can always go get another one.
Right. Yeah. So
until they stop making them, and then
then I have to buy all the refills off of eBay.
Yeah, that's right.
To go with the.
Yeah, you will. My dad was a earliest person I knew that he would buy pens by the box. He would buy they would go to the thing, come back with a box of 12 flare pens, or he loved Pilot sharp pens at one point, micro point pens at one point. Mm-hmm. And he would use different colors for different things. He had red, green, and blue, and and black, and then we use them for different for different occasions, for different things.
Right.
Highlight different aspects of the notes he wanted to do.
I've had a forest green in this, dark. I like the darkest of colors. Yeah. If I need something to stand out, I get a red or whatever. But yeah. It's, to me, that's fun.
Yeah.
It just makes life interesting. I don't know if my kids or anybody else will ever one day pick up my journal, but I figure it's more likely. I haven't really thought this through till now, but it's probably more likely in reality that, when I pass, that they might see a stack of journals and actually pick that up and read it, as opposed to picking my laptop up and scrolling through,
or going through the
documents.
Guys of a certain age archives.
Right. So, well, in
7 years, I bet Dad talked a total of 3 hours on this whole conversation.
So I've got the, the Guys of a Certain Age notebook. Yeah, I've got a Batman notebook that I use to keep notes. And then when this is empty, I think I have an actual Guys of a Certain Age notebook.
Oh, yeah.
That will be the next one.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
So, of course, we got to keep going. We do that. So we'll see how, if you, hopefully you're not retiring from.
Yeah. We'll see if Paramount's going to cancel us too.
Right. Well, that's about all I had on the document.
I think we could revisit this with Robbie sometime. That'd be interesting, because there's also a lot of stuff, I'm sure, with cooking that y'all do that probably goes back to, old school kind of things as opposed to, doing, I know because there's technology in it too, but kind of I know as I'm saying this, I know you've got some kind of app for your big green egg or whatever that tells you things. Yeah. So, but yeah, that's interesting.
I even got a cookbook app that I talked about an episode or two back too.
Yeah, that's right.
All right. Well, grab your notebooks and your pens and take notes on this episode. We'll see you next time.